recording. Okay. This content is stuff that I delivered last year for this topic, as there's nothing in my learning, and the assessments that are there are for PHP, which, yeah, we'll get to it, but we're going to get the basics under our belts. First, you need to have an understanding of HTML before you can do scripting for HTML, which is what they are requesting with PHP. So we'll go through a few sessions of manual coding. If you check the YouTube channel, there is a video on Composer, which is a open source web authoring tool, which is very easy to use. Basically, if you can use a word processor, you can use a web authoring tool. So there's options there for you to learn as well. I think it's about 40 minutes long. Covers how to create a basic page and how to create links to extra pages, and from that you just expand. Okay, so, and the good thing with Composer is it actually has a screen that shows you the HTML code. So for the web page that you create using the GUI, you can actually look at the HTML code that it creates attached to it. So I would suggest, if you're interested in doing web pages, have a look at those. And we'll kick off with HTML basics. Now, what I'll do is I'll go through the presentation and then go through some examples referring back to the presentation and back and forth, just so you can have a good reference on how to start. So the objectives is to have a look at what tags are. So the starting tags within HTML. HTML is hypertext markup language. I will start using Notepad++, but you don't need to. You can just use Notepad. Anything but a word processor. Do not do HTML coding in a word processor because it adds so much junk to the code. I'll show you that as well today. So we'll look at Notepad++. Very quick, easy to download and install. Takes no time at all, about 5 minutes. Okay, integrating levels of headings into web pages, unordered, ordered, and embedded lists. So we'll have a look at creating lists. Now, this material is old. It originally referred to back in the dark days when explorers and web browsers weren't embedded into the operating systems like Safari is with Microsoft and Internet Explorer is with Windows. We had the original browser, that Netscape, that was the best of breed, which is basically the precursor to Firefox. Okay, so this is old stuff. HTML has been around for a while, so so type a word and save it as a web document. So simple hello, it's our first HTML class. So let's fire up Notepad. So as you can see there. Notepad's very difficult. It's just a text editor, pretty much. What you can do is set the various programming languages to use within it. Tim's here.
I'm sorry, Blake.
And hello to all of you that have just recently joined. Not just Timmy. Alright, so Notepad, just do a search on Notepad++, download it, install it. As I said, take about 5 minutes. Then go to the language setting, go to HTML. And why do this? Well, it will help format the code so you can make sure you close off each of the tags as you do them. So, first slide. Hello, this is the first class. And basically you save that out as a text file. No, that's not the place I'm going to put all my garbage for 411. See, I've got lots of it. And there's even more in here. So, let's make a new one and go day one codes. So, hello, and text, HTML, I'm sure it's in there somewhere if you scroll down far enough. There it is. Now, you go over to this side panel, drag a new tab in, and you could type it in there. Just type in your address, C drive, documents, and do all that sort of crazy stuff. Or I'll just go to the file and
Anybody else know that won't work?
Hey?
Does anybody else know that won't work?
What are you trying to say?
That's not how HTML works.
Yeah, I know that, but
Okay. I had to think about it for a second. I was like, hang on, is this actually gonna... No. He's missing some things. Surely.
Yeah. Headers, tags.
Yeah. Well, you don't even need tags. You just need the HTML tags.
Yeah,
wow.
Which is one of the tags.
Yeah.
And what did it actually save it as?
Just a standard file.
Yeah, because browser isn't. All right. Let's force it to put a HTML tag at the end of it. There we go. Now Chrome will pick it up. There it is. It works.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Wow.
Because
I didn't even think that would show up, to be honest.
Yeah, no. The HTML tags and that you need to bracket so you can put your formatting and stuff into play. But a straight text file, it'll display fine. Alright, so I'll just scoot that out. So alright, so what's actually in the file, you can see isn't much there. And if you look at the source file, it's got nothing in it either. Whereas if you open up a normal site, you get lots and lots of code. So I'll just zip that over to the side. So the file's got to be basically HTML or HTML file extension, and all the tags, the markup tags, are there to tell the browser how to use the information contained in the file. So we start by doing the HTML, which is telling it it's a web page, the body saying this is the main page to display, and then you close off your statement. So again, just drag this in. Let's make it smaller.
I think you got the times wrong in our class.
Hey?
I think you got the times wrong in our class. It says 9 to 12.
What?
Don't worry, ignore me.
No, the meeting says 1 to 12.
Yeah, no, it says on the page we have class on Wednesday 9
Oh.
to 12.
It's like, what are you talking about? All right. Be all right if I can type. Definitely be all right if I could type. Notice that Notepad++ now starts adding in color coding and will prompt you with language words and tags, so you just can save some typing. And little b there says to bold. And you can type anything you want. Just be aware that some words are actually tags. And we have class on Wednesday between 1 to 5 p.m. as somebody's pointed out. And we close it off, you know, as we close the tag, it links it back to the opening tag and changes it out. So if you save this, and I bring in our little web page and do a refresh on it, why didn't it carry it down? Well, my code only put the bold brackets in. I didn't do the carriage return. So alright, so you can see you can embed changes into it. Now, if we're using a web authorizing tool or application, it's so much quicker and faster because basically you just treat it as a Word document and it generates this code all for you behind it. So this one, we're adding a title page. So this is the name of the file. So we're now putting in head, followed by a title, of page, and then we close off the title and close off the header, and we keep the text and the body, save it out. And what's that look like when we hit refresh? Any different?
If we could see it, we'd be able to tell you.
In the tab, title of page is now the name of the tab.
I apologize. I had the text box up. Maybe I couldn't see it because of that.
Oh, sorry. If I bring it across, is that better?
No, where it was great. But yeah.
So basically what that head title is it puts the name or the title up in the tab of your browser. Afternoon, James. Yeah, still missing a few faces. Oh well. Maybe they don't like the way I present. Okay, so
I don't think it's you.
we have uh, 1 o'clock. I think I've started it one day at 1:30 because I had something else I had to do at lunch and I knew I wouldn't get back in time. So our tags, as you can see from the code, are basically in pairs. And the closing pair has the / to represent the close. And these elements are not case sensitive. Okay, so you have a start and an end element, and all elements are in the greater than and less than brackets. And you need them to close out the code properly. The elements represent different characteristics that you wish to display in your code, or how the browser is to display the information that you're encoding. So the content is what's in between the element tags, and in this case, the B is to bold the text. Next one is body, and the purpose of the body tag is defining the main body of the web page. So you can have elements outside of the main body that is referenced and called into the body. And the convention is to use lowercase for your tags. All right. Now, the W3C has its own web page with tutorials on coding, and I will be referring to that site as they are the go-to authority on authoring. They're the ones that set the standards on HTML, is the 3C site.
Is that W3 Schools?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a very good resource. They have material that is very easy to follow. Even a dummy like myself can do it. Okay, so especially when we go into the PHP as, look, coding, I've done lots of dead languages, COBOL, Pascal, done a little bit of C++, Lisp, there's a couple others in there. I mean, HTML, I dabbled with many, many moons ago, created some of my own web pages back in the early days of the interwebs, and I found my niche in IT as a router and switching person. So you drop me in front of a router or a switch and tell me to design a network and make connectivity happen and all that sort of stuff. That's my element. That's where my specialty lies. This other stuff, I just dabble in. Okay, it's definitely not my strongest elements. So yeah, I will be referring a lot to source code, and W3C school is definitely that source code.
That's really good because the connectivity with switches and routers is where I need lots of assistance.
Well, that I can give you.
Beautiful.
Greetings, Brock. How are you today? So basically, I'll be presenting and going through examples for HTML as we go. Good. I hope everybody else is as well.
I had a boost juice today, so I'm on top of the world.
All right, so
for weeks.
As I said earlier, we can always open up view page source now to look at how things are put together. Even, all right, go to the news website. You can look at their coding. All right, so when you're learning, it is very good practice to look at various pages, how they do things, how they use command structures to get ideas from. Okay. Now, see the headers there. They use the title, ABC News, and if you look up at the top of the page on the tab, you'll see it straight away as Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It's all there. All right.
And tabbing at your work is a very crucial part because Like formatting everything so that it's easy to find stuff.
This formatting and that is all practice and
Yeah.
discipline.
Oh yeah.
All right, because the idea of stepping in and stepping out using tabs and things like that is there so that you can see all the okay, you open there and all this is metadata that is connected to here. So what follows underneath and it's tabbed in is basically grouping stuff together. Yeah, Jacob, I've seen another thing that a lot of really good programmers do that don't format well is they don't comment or document their code in their code. So you're supposed to put explanations and stuff through your code, like so you're supposed to embed comments so that people know, because when you come back to edit the code later, by having the explanations and comments in place in your code, you can look at it and work out what you're doing in that section of code. It's very useful later on when you have to come back and amend stuff. And trust me, you always come back to a code. You may come back to code a couple of years later and go, oh, I wrote this. Oh, I didn't document it. I was bad. What was I doing? How do I fix it? Oh, this is so much easier to do it this way now. Yeah, tried to do it. All right, so basically that. So we've done that. So tags behind the web pages. So you have in your body, center means it's going to be center justified. H1 is your type of text, so your style. And P is for paragraphing, which means it has different spacing. All right, so the thing is, you can look at all this, retype it out, and do your own. Yes, you can comment in there. You just got to put it in the yeah. As I said at the start of this is old code. W3C will be version 5 of HTML. This text is definitely version 4.
Because is H3 obsolete?
Sorry?
Are the heading tags, are they obsolete or is that, am I...
No, headings are still there.
Okay.
The center tag.
Oh, you can still... Oh, okay.
So justifying. Normally, you with your text and that, you now use styles.
Yep.
And yeah, you can you know. So I found this in my archive for last year when I was in China. There's nothing in the My Learning space for this subject. So,
Of course there's not.
I can't remember the commenting format for in Java, Tim.
No, well, I did it the other day, but then it hit me that I was only looking at the Java thing. Which I reckon might go both ways.
Yeah. As I said, I only code when I have to. It's not something I do. I kick it over. One of my nephews is a full-time programmer. So if I need a simple web page or something like that, I kick it over to him. One of my old flatmates and one of my old bosses is an analyst programmer. He does this every day. He's probably forgotten more than what I learnt in the first place. So I lean on those guys to do anything that I need done professionally. I just basically outsource. If it's something I'm just mucking around with and that, yeah, I'll look up the code, like macro writing for office automation and things like that. I'll just search the interwebs and find out the format command structures of what I want to do and then script it up on the fly like that. In work, I probably between 2 and 5% of my work is coding these days, outside of teaching. Okay, when I'm on the job, because if you've got dedicated DevOps people that code 24/7, so you kick it over to them. So, body of text, start and stop. So the idea is to master your tags and to ensure that you open and close your sections as you go through. Right, so pretty easy. I have some exercises and that I'll post up for you to work through to create some stuff together. And you all know how to do a save as to save a file. Just make sure instead of a .text, if you save it as a .text file, you could have interesting results. Your browser needs the HTML or HTML extension, but the contents have to be text. So just open it, check it. Always work with a browser open. Do your code, save it, and hit your refresh on your browser, and it will display how that code is working in the browser. So if you're trying to format, doing special image insertions and things like that, in coinciding with text and all that sort of stuff, just keep refreshing and seeing how it appears. And wherever possible, use multiple browsers to open. Yes, it's XP. I told you this slide pack was old, and I raised this with management, and yeah. Yeah. Let's just say we work with what we have. There's only so many times you can bang your head against the wall before you start to enjoy it too much. All right, so standard heading styles apply. So just like you have in Word, you have different heading styles. The same occurs in HTML. So each H style has a different font size associated with it. So the bulleted lists is where we just are using unordered lists. Okay, so UL, unordered list. So if we go back to our code, and this is the class, and let's put a paragraph in there and go, open bracket, UL. So let's move this across so you can see basically what I see. So basically you just use HLI for list item. And rinse and repeat for as many items as you want, using, right, then close the list off, and hit the save, bring our web page over, hit refresh, and there's our bulleted list. Okay, so these are known as unordered list items. So they just come up with whatever order you have, they'll come up in. And my mouse cursor always seems to get caught on the boundary between my windows. It's annoying at times. So the alternative is where we turn around and go ordered lists. So instead of a U, we go an O. And instead of having bullet points, we have a number. As you can see, basic HTML coding is that, basic. So that's the first section, an introduction into what we're doing. And as a few of you have actually been following along doing your own text file as I've been doing the demos. So you can see that it is pretty straightforward. So I think I'll attack our second page.
Was that the start that I missed?
Hey, how much did you?
I was 15 minutes late.
So you missed the first couple of pages explaining what HTML was.
Look, if it makes you feel any better, I'm going to ace this class.
I'm pretty sure most of you will ace it.
Well, I would hope so, but like,
coding shouldn't
it's all
be
just
difficult.
Google searching and copying and pasting, and
yeah, it's not particularly hard. You
mate.
just got to get used to
Formatting.
the formatting. You've got to remember when you open a tag, an element tag, you've got to close it.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not hard. So yeah. So the second stage of this is going in and organizing your spacing and formatting your pages and putting in some colors. So we'll look at how to add hyperlinks into our pages and how to make them look a little bit better. So here they start talking about using the paragraph tags and the BR, which is basically a single space line down, carriage return, if you like. So you can start spacing it out like you would in a Word document using these. So having it enter, all right, so if I just do double spacing in between the list items, save it, and do a refresh, it doesn't affect the spacing displayed in the browser. You've got to actually put in these tags. Okay, so it's not exactly the same as
Aren't you supposed to
just
close
a straight
that one?
text. P is one of the special characters that you don't actually have to close off.
Okay. Oh, that's right. It says it at the bottom.
Yeah, it's one of the few tags you don't actually have to close. Same with the BR.
Yeah.
Okay, so under line item 2, I'll do a BR, so you can see the difference. So see, there's no difference there in the spacing. So this one is a double space between item 1 and item 2, and it's a normal spacing between 2 and 3, and that's all what BR does. All right, so if I had some additional text, you could slot that in on a new carriage line. So the BR is basically what we used to call a carriage return when we were talking the old days of typing that. It's equivalent to hitting enter in a Word document. You bring your text back down onto the next line. So background color in the body, we're using black. Oh, I've lost my Notepad. Come back here. Thank you. That's one way of bringing it back. So if we're coming up here and we can go, I shouldn't do that. I should do this. Background color equals yellow. Save. Doesn't that look fantastic?
That's marvellous.
Yes, it's being recorded, Cooper.
Still better than red.
What? You want red?
No, God, no. I did a diploma and the teacher said that red was the worst colour on display for your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hideous.
Yeah. So, and of course, if you're using black text on a black background,
look, it's probably better than the yellow. There you go. Then you just got to change the colour of the text to white.
Exactly. Yes. And there are certain color combinations that are easier on the eyes, and having a dark background with a lighter text is...
That's a good question.
Oh, is that the next one? No, the next one's saying you can use the hex code for the values. Sizes. So let's change the coding back. I think it looks horrid, but all right, there's our example back. No, it is not. There are no learning resources for this unit in my learning. All of these PowerPoints I will be posting up into Edmodo and Discord. There is zero in my learning. Let's just say I had a very frank discussion with my management about what I think of my learning and the fact I can't change the shells. And a senior manager said, tough titties, get used to it. So,
that's cool. We don't need to learn how to do this stuff.
Yeah. All right. So basically, if you want to play around with any of this stuff, just feel free. Reference, yes, schools, thank you. That is very useful. And it is my go-to guide for HTML. So, yeah, sending you there is what I was going to post in the stuff when I put up these slideshows and that. That website is generally what I have open when I start doing any mucking around with code for HTML. Okay, and as we've got nothing else, it'll probably be the go-to page for our PHP lessons. Because I haven't been able to find anything on PHP within the back of house shared resources between the teachers. So they might have something somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. I found this. This was something to start us off with today. So anchoring. All right. So what we do here is basically what we're doing with anchors is putting in a reference point in the code which defines where the link or the target for that name is always going to be. So doing your hyperlinks is an external reference and it needs an anchor point. Okay, so that's what the A stands for, and the href is your hyperlink reference and the name, and then how you display it. So we can change all of this, or we can just add, we'll just add to the bottom. So down here we put our A for anchor href, equals our quotes, which is our lovely, powerful, close the quotes, close the anchor. Well, sorry, not there. Close the first element. Then the text that we want to display as part of that anchor. And then we're going random text lines. Ooh, I really want to say text. And as I said before, closing off the P's is not absolutely necessary. And if you're going to repeat some code, highlight, copy, paste, works very well. Then we want to close off a name and put our equals. Our powerful clues. As you can see by the text in the slides, it does not follow the standard of using lowercase. So there's our hyperlink anchor point. I'm using a text editor called Notepad++. The benefits of using Notepad++ is it gives you this little color coding for your elements, and it shows you some links so you can see when you're inside common elements, and you can use it with all sorts of different languages that have there's my old language of many moons that I worked with, Lisp. So you can see there's lots of, there's one I haven't, Fortran. So in this today, I just set it to HTML, and that gives us some standard formatting, color coding to, rather than just having a huge blob of black text. For my sanity, I am going to just remove that bit. The yellow does my head in. So, as you can see, this is a name, doesn't really give us much. So, what it is our jump to point for this hyperlink. So, I had to scroll down. So, right, here's our text, da-da-da-da. There's our link to jump to another section. which can be a different page or a different part of the same page. So I click on that and it jumps down to the name component. All right, so this tag is the reference. That's what's displayed, and it jumps to the name that corresponds to powerful. All right, so we've defined that we want a hyper reference, and we've called it powerful. And then where we want to jump to, we create another anchor point with the name powerful, which references this is what this hash powerful links to. It links to this second anchor point called powerful. And when you click on the reference, it moves to that name anchor. Now I'm not going to, I'll just go through this second section a little bit more, and then we'll post some stuff up, because I'm also aware that I don't want to tie you up for a couple of hours just doing coding. We need to take breaks and step through it. We've got 4 weeks to do it. So basically I'm going to, basically I had 3 sessions. I'll break them into 2. I'm just using a browser, Brock. So when you save the file in Notepad, all right, so when you go save as, you give it a HTML tag at the end. So when you scroll down through the formatting, you select HTML and just type in HTML at the end of the name, and then use your web browser to open the page that you're editing. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll go through a few more pages of this second presentation today, and then I'll edit the 2 PowerPoints together and post them up as today's power presentation. And then next week I'll finish off the rest of the HTML, and then that should give us a basis that we can go and look at doing scripting, hopefully, because the 3 assignments attached to this are discussing PHP. So I've got to get you to PHP in 4 weeks, which is going to be interesting. So
we're not going to have any actual assignments on HTML?
I will give you some workbook type stuff to do.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but they won't be a graded assignment per se.
Yep, yeah, right.
All right, because I got a little slap across the wrist for not following business needs.
What?
Okay, yeah.
Can I ask what that means exactly, or what that entails?
I've basically been told to use the resources in my learning.
Right. And if you don't, but what if the resources in my learning aren't actually there?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. Okay, all right. I'll stop asking questions now. Fuck. Sorry for the language.
Let's put it this way. I put my views on the matter in writing and sent it to 2 managers.
Yep.
There is now a review of all resources and assessments undergoing in IT department as we speak.
Okay. Is that good or bad though? Or does it depend?
It needs to be done.
Yeah.
It needs to hopefully the review will improve the resources and the quality of assignments attached to these resources.
Well, that's all we can hope. I mean,
Yeah.
After doing those copyright ones, that first one was a disgrace. It was in shambles. Like the questions were not ordered correctly, and the second one was a lot better though. I'll give it that. The first one was just hopeless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wait until you see some of the others. Yeah.
Thanks for the vote of encouragement.
Let's just say when we do the networking stuff, because it's the Notepad resources in the background, you'll get a good education from the Notepad resource, and then we just fill out the paperwork required in the My Learning space.
Okay.
Bit like we're doing with the ITE subject at the moment. Okay?
Yeah.
We go to a good source for the education, then come back to My Learning and just do the shopfront assignments.
Below average assessments.
Yeah.
Okay.
And move on.
Yeah.
I've requested the ability to edit My Learning, and I've been told point blank by my manager's manager that it will not happen.
Right. Is that because he thinks you don't know what you're doing, or because he?
No, it's company policy that no teacher can edit My Learning.
Right. So then can they tell the person that set it up in the first place to fix their fuck-ups?
Well, hopefully that's what happens, yes.
Okay. All right.
As I said, I was very blunt in my writing of what I thought of the resourcing and assessments in My Learning for IT course.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Which is fair. Because, I mean, the only ones that really suffer from it are us, the ones that are trying to learn all this material.
Yeah. And it is sad.
Mm-hmm.
No, the person doesn't work with Bendigo TAFE anymore. They've moved on. So have some of the teachers, half the teachers in the IT department in Broadmeadows have also moved on last year. So hopefully we can get some change. And hopefully it'll be for the better.
So who's left to be in charge of it?
Jacinta.
Oh, okay. Does that mean Jacinta can... Okay.
Jacinta is the department manager.
Yeah. Does that mean she can edit the My Learning stuff?
No, but she can assign the material to a teacher to bring it up to speed and get changed. The problem is Jacinta is not an IT person.
No, she used to be a hairdresser, didn't she? Yep. And she's a lovely lady.
She's lovely, and she had, when she was teaching, she encountered a lot of the same issues we're encountering now,
Yeah.
and she's fighting with long-serving people that need to have some things changed, and
Yeah.
she's making progress, but it's slow.
Yeah,
So,
I can see that. I'm pretty sure she told us that she didn't know anything about IT, but
yeah. No, she's upfront. She's been running businesses, and her trade
yeah,
background is that of a hairdresser. She's run salons for 30 years, so she knows how to manage people and do all of that
businesses
quite
and
well.
yeah,
Okay,
no,
so
I reckon she'd have the gift of the gab almost.
yeah, I've got time for her. She's good.
Yeah.
We both actually call spades spades.
Yeah,
So we've got a good rapport going on. We don't try to be politically correct with each other.
which is a
So
good thing, I
yeah,
think. I mean,
we don't dance around the issues. We address them and try to
yeah,
get them fixed.
yeah,
And
no, that's good.
when I said I've got to shuffle the timetable around, I said, she goes, just point them to me. I'll take the blame. I did the timetable. I said, it's not that. We did something. We had a couple of hours to put it into fixed form
Yeah,
to give it to you, basically, before we started.
yeah,
So we got the sequencing wrong. It's that simple.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But I mean, like at the end of the day, we've come to a arrangement that is working, I think,
yeah,
at this
I
point.
hope
And
so.
considering like the circumstances of everything, I think we're all doing very well.
Well, it would be certainly easier to do this face to face.
Oh
And
yeah, of course.
okay, just let's say that remote teaching is not a preferred method for TAFE.
Indeed.
I'll
That's
say
not a
that.
preferred method for any sort of schooling, really.
No. Some people. I did my master's remote delivery. Works fine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. But it was academic. All right. So, and yes, it's very much harder, and you need to be very disciplined in sitting down and doing time management for you to sit down and do the work.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Whereas if you come to class, we do the lecture and then you sort of stay, well, I've come into school, I might as well stay here and do the work. I've already made the effort. I'll
Yeah,
stay here. You have a bit of a chin wag with other people and you get the work done.
yeah.
Whereas here, you turn off the session and
Well,
go
you're
off
in your
and get sidetracked with
bedroom.
something
Yeah,
else.
and anything can happen.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm looking forward to getting in the classroom again myself. I much prefer, except for the drive. It's going to kill me. 2-hour drive each way. But yeah, it's much better because I can read the audience, i.e. you,
Yeah.
and see who's falling asleep at the keyboard and wake them up. Okay. Yes, that is a problem.
Agoraphobic?
Yeah, in other words, scared of the outdoors.
Oh, okay.
It's a
Okay.
phobia of the great outdoors.
Right, okay. I guess that's, yeah, I suppose we probably all are to some extent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
that
you've
sounds
got
fair.
that, I know quite a few people that are very comfortable in staying at home. Okay. So, yeah.
Wow.
forcing yourself to go out and do appointments and that can be a challenge for people with a little bit of agoraphobia. So getting it out there and getting in the classes where you've got to make the effort, and that does help. It normalizes the activities. Linking to pages, getting back to the subject material. All right, so with the href, basically instead of linking to a name like we did here, all right, so we basically, the hashtag is a name, anchor name. We can use a page name in the reference, and that will jump us to a page that is already existing. And so they are quite good at doing it. Now, what I'll do is I need to close, minimize that. Oh, who we got? Mr. Rose. I need to have a, I've got a feeling you're missing access to Notepad. Because I don't think you were around when I gave out the access codes. Yeah. All right. So I need to give you a, send you some stuff. Remind me at the end of the session that I've got to send you some links to get you into the Notepad courses, because there's 5 chapters in ITE already covered, and I'll show you the links, send you the links to my YouTube page where I've recorded all the presentations and that for you to look at, so you can catch yourself up. And we start another subject using the Notepad site on tomorrow. So I'd like to get you set up today if possible. That way you're ready to go tomorrow when we do tomorrow's class. Body text, link green. So here we are changing the color of the hyperlink characters. So if we just drag the page in here and bring up my Notepad here. So under the body, before we do the hyperlinks, so just up here, break that, and we type in text equals a color, and then the link equals a different color, and I need a space. Thank you. And then the use link equals a different color. Save that. Refresh. So what? So the main text is blue, as you can see. The link would have been green if we, maybe if I close that and reopen it, and there's my Bendigo, gotta go up one page. No, it's kept the, you are not being friendly to me, Mr. Web page. All right, so the V-link changes the link color after it's been clicked. So if I hadn't have clicked it, it should have been red. Alright, so I have got to purge the pages, rewritten. Yeah, it's too much to do. Alright, so basically you can control how it displays the link characteristics. And alright. And I think putting in folders and changing our tags and that for next week, I think we'll start with the menu items and using the different types of buttons. Okay, remember our unlisted lists all had the disk symbol. We can actually stipulate what type of bullet point is going to be used in that, and I'll leave that here because we've been basically going for 90 minutes in this presentation, which I think is more than enough for somebody listening to my voice at once.
No, your voice is lovely.
Yes, I know it's lovely. It sends my students to sleep on a regular basis.
It's soothing. It's better than a glass of warm milk.
So I think that's about halfway through this set of slides. So what I'll do is I'll call it quit, and that way I'll carry on from this point, from the menu, and doing the bullet points in the second session. So next week we'll continue from this point. What I will post up, and hopefully Jacob will set up a page there for WEB411 discussion page, and I'll post up the PowerPoint, the link to the recording, and some coding exercises for you to practice doing what we've covered. Okay, so it's just easy steps to start with. Okay, because the idea is to get you a basic understanding of HTML. Then we can look at hopefully spending the last 2 weeks looking at the scripting element of the course so you can complete the assignments in My Learning. Sound like a plan? Yeah, maybe. All right, stopping the recording.